Hi, I'm going to show you how to easily mod a 120mm fan to fit in your hard drive cage in case you don't already have the adapter, or your cage can mount a 120mm fan without this technique, which is going to be a cable tie technique. So what will you need? You will need, of course, a 120mm fan, and here's a stock fan from my 600T case, Corsair. 120mm, which I took out of the back and replaced with an LED fan. You will need a cable tie, or I should say you'll need more than one cable tie. These are about 7.5 inches long. You'll need a longer one. The small ones you often get in with computer packages are too small. They're not long enough, so you need something around 7.5 inches or even longer. You can always cut it. These ones I have today are a bit thick. They don't fit very well through the holes of the fan, so you'll probably want to get something thinner. I just didn't have any. They will work, but you kind of have to preset them up. They take some force to get through the holes, so they're not the best ones to use. Go for a thinner one. I'd say something in around 1/4 of an inch wide is a better. This is probably about 1/3 of an inch wide, 7.5 inches long. You'll also need some shock absorbers, if you want to call them, or noise dampeners. And there's really two ways you can go with this. You can get these rubber ones, and these are typically found in hardware stores or even supermarkets, and you put these behind paintings to absorb, so they don't mark the walls, so that when you're hanging a painting, you put them on the lower part of the painting so they don't mark the wall. And you can get cork ones or rubber ones in different sizes. I use a small size, and I used cork because I didn't have enough of the rubber ones. You don't really see them, so it's not a factor in the case. And cork is a very good dampener for noise. Make cork floors for that whole purpose, for kitchens. Anyway, so that's what you'll need, and we'll get on to showing you the setup. Okay, so instead of the stock fans, I use the AF120 LED versions from Corsair High Airflow Quiet Editions. And on the H100i RAD, I put the SP static pressure 120s outside of the case. Of course, in the 600T, you can't fit them inside. So when you look at modding your fan to fit in your hard drive cage, I suggest you put, if you're using the fat cables, I suggest you put them in first. They're, as I said, a little tough to get in. So pre-install these on 3 of the 4 grommet holes. I couldn't get the 4th one in. You can't easily access it in the 600T case. Put the cork on the contact surfaces. These are sticky on one side, so push them on. You can see I have them on 3 corners there. And this is what it looks like in the case. You can see that it's wedged in between the frame of the hard drive cage and the fan itself to prevent vibration. And this is a close-up of the idea. And it's tight. Pull those cable ties tight so there's no vibration of the fan itself, and wedging the cork in between. And that's what it looks like from the outside of the cage. You can see the 4th corner there in the upper left-hand corner is not secured, but it doesn't vibrate at all. And the whole reason for doing this in the first place was I wanted to change the airflow. I still wanted to cool air coming into the case from the outside, from the top, on through the rad into the case. That puts hot air in the case, but I wanted to then push it out with a hard drive fan and then a rear exhaust fan before it hits the GPU, as well as have the main 200mm fan in the 600T cool the GPU, and then I have a 120mm fan on a mesh case. Window, I should say. And this is what it looks like in the end, and you can see I'm pushing on here. It doesn't move at all. It might be a little dark in the video, but that fan barely moves when the cable ties are secured, so it works quite well. And I'm going to try and get a little close up here, but it's again a little dark. The video inside the case is dark, so don't really see it, but that 4th corner is not secured. It's just 3 of the 4 corners, so it works quite well. Now we'll turn it on. Turn on the system, and you can see the nice lights of the fans, and you can see the fan's not moving at all. Take my judgment on that. The video may not show that easily, but definitely that fan is tight, and even with just 3 corners, it doesn't move.
Looks nice too. The purple LEDs in this case, or blue, or white, or red. They're nice fans from Corsair. I like them. And there's the rear exhaust one. Again, the idea being pushing the air before it has a chance to hit the GPU or be sucked in by the GPU. So that was the whole idea. And then on the top of the cage, I have to leave the top of my screen here open, because if I close that, I get a pressure point, pressure sounding like you do in a car. So I had to actually relieve that pressure because the mesh is too close to the fans on the 600T. I get a whoomp, 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 whoomp sound. It's not, it doesn't sound good. So that's the overall look of that setup, and keeps things quite cool. There's barely any difference in GPU temperature if I was to exhaust everything from the case rather than have air coming into the case from the H100i. Here's a sound sample, full throttle. Backing it off. Only a few decibels difference really, but quite a difference in airflow, as you can imagine. So on gaming, when I'm gaming, I keep that on high. When I'm business applications, low. And this is the Thermaltake Scythe Sickle Flow 120 mil, but it's loud. This is the one I have in the case, and I'm going to replace this one with the Quiet Editions. Good airflow from this Sickle Flow Green, but it's loud, as you can hear. And these are the parts, except I didn't list the Sickle Flow, but it's a 120mm LED Sickle Flow from Thermaltake. And thank you for watching.